Saudações a todos os amigos, espero que estejam todos bem. No vídeo de hoje, preparamos mais um combinado de atualizações, a fim de passarmos os principais pontos das últimas informações recebidas por JP sobre os seres nórdicos e a atual situação das arcas espaciais. Na primeira parte, vamos falar sobre o encontro que JP teve com um ser nórdico fora do cenário militar. Na segunda parte, iremos falar sobre a sexta missão que JP fez à Arca no Oceano Atlântico e como foi a sua interação com esses nórdicos em cenário militar. E por fim, na terceira parte, alguns esclarecimentos importantes que JP trouxe sobre essas duas atualizações anteriores e também uma estranha avaliação médica que JP e outros soldados tiveram de passar e como isso ajudou a elucidar o quadro todo com os nórdicos e as arcas. Agora, vamos à primeira parte. No início de novembro de 2023, JP encontrou um extraterrestre de aparência nórdica que pousou em uma nave em forma de disco voador semelhante àquela que JP fotografou em 2018. O nórdico, cujo nome é Iafis, usava um tipo de uniforme característico de calças largas, um estilo semelhante ao que é usado pelos indianos ou usado no Oriente Médio. Iafis disse ao JP que a Arca Espacial do Atlântico e do Pacífico foram realocadas para o meio dos oceanos e que agora as arcas começaram a vibrar. JP disse ainda que se sentiu muito tranquilo dentro da espaçonave nórdica e, consequentemente, aceitou uma bebida com uma substância azul. Iafis disse ao JP que a substância permaneceria dentro de seu sistema por um longo tempo e seria absorvida pelos ossos. Essa substância permitiria aos nórdicos acompanhar e monitorar melhor JP. Ela também fez ele se sentir muito bem e esclarecido ou iluminado. Vamos ver nas palavras de JP como foi esse encontro.
He tells me to come in the ship, and the platform comes down. He walks on top. I walk on top, and once you walk on this platform and you stand on this platform, your feet feels like magnets, so it fixates on the platform like you won't fall, and it goes up and it locks. So he said sit. I looked around. I saw a chair. It's like made with the ship, but you can clearly see it looks like a chair. So he told me to sit, and I sat down, and I asked him a question. I said, "Hey, I know that you guys went to the Arcs. What's going on in the Arcs?" I felt like saying that to him, but I physically said it. I did not say it to my mind. And he told me that the Ark was moving to the center of the Atlantic to position itself closer to a place where it was not worshipped, but a place where it used to be. So I thought, man, this is crazy. So is there a possibility that the military will revisit the arcs again? He's like, the possibility is slim, but we're taking over all the arcs. We're taking over all the arcs, and now they're in charge of the Pacific arc. So little by little, they're taking over the arcs, the Nordics, and they're moving more to the center of the Pacific, more center to the Atlantic. And these arcs are vibrating. The arcs are vibrating. That he was telling me that the arcs are vibrating. I don't know what that means. And then he said to me that he needs me and that he was going to get in touch with somebody else with another mission. And I said, how did you find me? And how did you know I was around the area? He's like, we know your vibration. We know where you're at in all times. So some people have a certain vibration that ETs they can pick up, and that's why sometimes they get followed all their life with these particular extraterrestrials because they monitor their vibration is different from other people in how they think and how they do things. So I'm sitting there and I'm like, I'm feeling happy. I'm feeling the ship. Once you sit into these ships, you feel like the ship is part of you. So you feel happy, you feel healthy, you feel the ship connected to you easily. And a lot of flashes through your eyes. Like when you're blinking, you flash like you see clouds and then you open your eyes and then you flash, you see other worlds, like beautiful landscapes where the ship has been. And I told the Nordic, what's your name? And he told me his name was Japhis. Japhis. Japhis.
Já fiz.
Japhis. But more with a yeah, Japhis. Japhis. I'm like, okay,
Já fiz. Ok.
Japhis. I'm like, okay, cool name. Awesome. Is there a reason why you want me to go on the ship? He said he wanted me to take and drink something that the ship had. So he gave me a beautiful, it looked like a glass cup, but it was thicker, a thick glass cup, and it had a blue substance inside of it. And he said, I need you to drink this. And I told him, hey, is this going to harm me? I feel really peaceful here. He's like, no, it's not going to harm me. This is going to stay in your system for a long time, and we're going to monitor you better with this liquid inside of you. And it connects to your bones. It absorbs into your bones when you drink it. So I drank it, and it tasted similar to a mixture of lemon, pineapple, and like lemon pineapple, and it left a taste, not a bad taste, but like a perfume. I never you ever sprayed perfume in your mouth, that bad sensation that you get in the back. It doesn't hurt. It's just it doesn't
An
taste.
aftertaste.
Yeah, an aftertaste that was not as pleasant. But he said it was normal to have that taste. It goes away in a couple of hours. But I had that taste, like that dark chocolate taste, the after dark chocolate taste. And I felt good. I felt enlightened. I felt like I was getting more information. And I felt the urge. I think I told you, I think like 2 weeks ago or a week ago, that I felt like building a type of technology that I was building before. It's a type of healing technology. And I think after the interview, I'm going to ask your opinion about it. I can't talk about it right now, but it's a type of healing technology, but it's like a better version of it, using crystals and other things that I think we can use, that we can find on Earth. So it's going to be quite interesting. So
No final, JP ainda relata que Yafis ficou muito emocionado a certa altura e revelou que uma guerra temporal estava causando muitos danos a diferentes linhas do tempo. JP foi informado de que ele seria levado pelos nórdicos em uma missão futura para ver alguns dos cronogramas que estavam sendo mostrados aos militares de diferentes nações, também conhecida como Aliança da Terra. Então, esse foi a primeira parte do vídeo de hoje. Vamos à segunda parte agora. No final de novembro de 2023, JP completou sua sexta missão à Arca Espacial do Atlântico, que foi movida do Triângulo das Bermudas em direção ao meio do oceano, em águas mais profundas, a fim de gerar maior cooperação internacional. Ele diz que foi levado novamente por uma nave TR-3B até o navio em forma de rosquinha, que se reposicionou sob a arca. O elevador tubo do navio rosquinha ainda estava em processo de ser reconectado à arca espacial, Então JP diz que uma nave submarino com grandes domos negros transportou ele e sua equipe para a Arca. JP ainda disse que os nórdicos extraterrestres, juntamente com os nórdicos intraterrestres ou intraterrenos, assumiram o controle da Arca e conseguiram ativá-la muito mais rapidamente do que quando estava sob o controle da Aliança Terrestre. Ele viu cerca de 18 nórdicos ETs ou intraterrenos que estavam vestidos de maneira diferente e andando ao redor da Arca, mas acredita que provavelmente havia mais em outras áreas que eles não visitaram. Os nórdicos estavam particularmente interessados no que JP sabia sobre os índios astecas que tinham conseguido ativar a Arca anteriormente. Vamos conferir nesse trecho o que JP fala.
So we went down and the ship started vibrating. You could feel the ship vibrating. You can feel everything vibrating, going down towards the ark. I felt kind of happy that we were heading back. But the Nordics, they're in charge of the ark now. So the ship has like little portholes that you can see outside, but this type of glass, it was really thick, but you could still see lighting coming in or coming out. And then we were getting close to the ark, you could see like a light that the ark never had. So the ark was kind of activated a different way that we never seen before.
And the ark's position is that it's in a different part of the Atlantic Ocean. Before you said it was being moved into deeper waters. So was it,
Yes.
kind of like deeper waters, further away from the US coast?
It is farther away to the US coast. So right now, more international ships can go around it. So we saw more international ships around the donut shaped ship, and that was quite interesting. Yes, it's more farther towards the middle of the Atlantic, and it took maybe a month or 3 weeks for it to get to that location. But it was going to that location through a vibration that the ship was going through, that they put it into a vibration state that made it move. But now the ship seems more activated. There's more lighting on the ship, on the surrounding of the ship. So this submarine looking, cigar looking ship is actually run by the Navy. So that's quite interesting. And we landed on top of the ship and then locked. And we can hear like a popping noise on the ship. The whole ship moved. And we had to take a ladder down into the ark to a location that we have not been into, that we saw it with a lot of vegetation. We saw a lot of light, bluish white light that was all over the place in different corners of the location of the ark that we were in. And we saw at least 6 Nordics walking around with, it looked like cell phones, but is actually like sensor types of machines that they have, that they're walking around with it and just constantly walking around and working on information about the ship. So we landed there and we got into this part of the Arctic ship that was there, and we started going to familiar spots that we went to. And when we saw these places, they were more activated. It had more vegetation, more light. So whatever the Nordics were doing, they're doing a good job at it, on activating the ship more than it was activated before when we had it. So I guess they have more knowledge on the activation of these ships.
And when you say we, you're talking about the 5 of you that were taken there to the donut-shaped ship on the submarine. That was just the 5 of you that went down, or were there others that joined you?
There was other people that went down, but they couldn't go farther than when we went down with them. So when we go down, we usually go down, we go more into the ship, and it activates. But the ship looks like is activated, like it's really activated right now. The ark. It has a type of vegetation that I haven't seen before. It looks like grass, but it grows like in a curly way, like a curly fry way. It's not straight like regular grass. It grows round like curly fries. So that was quite interesting. And that's all over the wall. You can see that type of vegetation all over the wall. I think it's an extinct type of grass that the earth had that doesn't grow anymore, but still grows in the ship. Quite interesting.
Was there any kind of analysis of the vegetation growing on the walls? I mean, from earlier missions, did anyone, a biologist or a botanist, examine the grass or the plants growing on the walls, and did they say what it was?
So these plants were not there when we were doing the Ark missions. These plants are now there that the Nordics took over. So it's more lighting and more vegetation right now. So no, these plants, we never saw them. I guess they're like chia plants that they grow when there's a certain lighting or a certain activating on the ship that they grow, and they give out beautiful oxygen to the inhabitants of the ship. So it's quite interesting. Certain types of plants that are growing in the Ark that are already extinct, but they're growing now in the Ark, and it's really, really, really nice. Different. We haven't seen the Ark this activated. And one of the guys were talking to a Nordic, and the Nordic was talking English like regular. Like he did not have no accent. He sounded like an English from like New York. Like he had that New York accent English.
Okay. And was it just the 6 Nordics that you saw on the Ark, or were there more as you walked through the Ark?
Oh, there were more. There were more now. There was more Nordics there than we saw. We saw more than 16, maybe 18 Nordics walking around. And I'm probably sure that there were more in different parts of the Ark and all that.
Em seguida, JP dá mais alguns detalhes sobre as arcas. Veias com um líquido azul nas paredes e portas agora aparecem depois que a joia da arca foi reinserida. A gravidade e as esferas de água com peixe estavam funcionando bem. Foi explicado a ele sobre mecanismos de teletransporte da arca que também precisam registrar todos os micro-organismos dos corpos que são transportados. Então, é uma tecnologia bem avançada. Após a conclusão dessa missão, JP disse ao oficial em comando que não queria mais realizar missões futuras devido ao preço pessoal que estavam cobrando dele. O comandante ficou extremamente irritado, e ao voltar para casa, JP foi seguido e atacado com algum tipo de arma de frequência, por indivíduos que estavam em uma van preta. No dia seguinte, ele acabou no hospital. Essa é a terceira vez que JP vai parar no hospital depois de cumprir missões, o que o deixou relutante em realizar missões futuras. JP relata ter sofrido vários ataques em outras missões e estava tendo sérios problemas de saúde, como por exemplo grandes perdas de memória, encolhimento anormal dos ossos, cegueira e outros. JP ainda confessou se sentir triste por os militares positivos não estarem curando com tecnologias avançadas, mas ao mesmo tempo ficou aliviado e feliz porque o Nórdico lhe deu o líquido azul na ocasião anterior e que essa medicina o curou muito. Em resumo, nesse vídeo, além de ficarmos sabendo mais sobre a situação das arcas, ficou claro que a Aliança da Terra ainda tem facções negativas infiltradas. Inclusive, provavelmente esse foi o motivo dos nórdicos terem de assumir temporariamente o controle das arcas, a fim de não atrasar mais o processo de ativação delas. Ainda como informação adicional, o Dr. Salla postou um comentário esclarecedor sobre essas facções dos programas espaciais secretos que ainda estão a influenciar as missões de JP. Vamos dar uma olhada. Algumas pessoas levantaram questões semelhantes sobre as experiências de assédio e ameaça de JP após retornar de suas missões secretas. Desde o início das suas experiências de contato nórdico em 2008, houve 2 facções humanas que interagiram com ele. Uma facção da Força Aérea dos Estados Unidos queria que JP trabalhasse para eles e revelasse a verdade sobre os programas espaciais secretos, como resultado de acordos com os nórdicos. E uma facção da CIA que estava ciente dos acordos e queria retardar ou encerrar as divulgações de JP. De 2017 a 2018, a facção da Força Aérea encorajou-o a tirar fotos de sua nave antigravitacional secreta, enquanto a facção da CIA o ameaçou para não tirar vídeos da nave. Foi um compromisso com o qual ambas as facções conviveram. Essa dinâmica continua até os dias de hoje, com um nível de assédio e ataques cada vez mais intensos à medida que o público acorda e presta mais atenção às questões dos OVNIs. Então, essa foi a segunda parte do vídeo de hoje. Vamos à terceira parte agora. Em uma atualização do final de dezembro de 2023, JP descreve uma série bizarra de experimentos médicos aos quais foi submetido em um hospital militar para o qual foi enviado junto com outros 5 soldados. Ele descreve o grupo de 6 soldados conectados a equipamentos incomuns e tomando medicamentos que levaram a situações físicas e temporais muito estranhas. JP descreve como foi conectado a uma máquina de varredura de ondas cerebrais, onde seus sonhos eram monitorados e como o espaço-tempo foi distorcido de maneiras que testaram o senso de realidade deles. JP ainda diz que o teste envolveu ele e os outros soldados indo dormir e sendo repetidamente acordados juntos às 2 da manhã para testar suas reações a distorções e situações temporais incomuns. Ele diz que o Nórdico esteve envolvido na condução dos experimentos. Vamos ver o trecho em que JP relata o final dessa experiência.
So I got in the car heading back to where I live, and that same vehicle unparked and went behind me and followed me 20 minutes. And I looked at it, and every time I slowed down, it slowed down. So just making sure where I was going, making sure I was going back home, I guess, and making sure I was going to the appointments. So I was kind of confused if it was the white hats or the black hats. So this felt like more like a negative experience than a positive experience for me, because of all the confusion and all the weird things that was happening without you knowing. So when you don't know what's happening around, you feel uneasy and you feel being used, you know? So yeah, you should have seen the eyes on this big dude when he was pissed off. Dan, he was pissed off. And I think he has been through a lot of shit too. I think a lot of people soon, they're going to be coming out, especially 2024, about their experiences in the realm that I'm in. But there's good experiences, Doc, and there's bad experiences. It's just the people that are, I guess, in charge of these experiences.
Well, we know from the past that there's been a negative faction that doesn't like what you're doing. So, and you felt that this was a negative experience. So, you know, that raises the question, is this kind of like a setup to try and have you leave the military or being forced to leave the military? What do you?
Yeah. I think if probably like a regular person's go through this, I think they will become insane. They will become questioning. They will question their life, you know? Like, what's your purpose? What's happening? This and that. And I remember the Nordic looking straight at me with his eyes, and we locked. But I did not hear no language coming from him.
Did you get any vibe? Did you feel he was a friendly? Was it neutral?
It was neutral. Neutral. I saw him like working there. You know, that he had a different uniform, a uniform that is familiar to what I saw on the donut-shaped ship in the Atlantic. So the doctor, he was an officer that was telling us to line up. The nurse had a weird, different uniform. It looked like similar to like a Star Trek looking uniform, but it was a different type of uniform. But the last time we saw the nurse, she had the regular nurse uniform. So it was a lot of weird things that happened that was kind of confusing to me.
Okay, and as you said, that was probably intentional, that they were trying to do something to stress you guys, to put you under some kind of mental pressure as part of a test. And I know you said to make you insane, that others would feel insane. So yeah, this
Oh
is...
yeah. I think if other people went through this, and I'm sure, oh my God, I'm sure there's a lot of people that go through this type of situations. But I don't really think it's connected to as much as to the military. I think it's connected to other people.
I see. So you've done a lot of missions. We've reported on those missions. Typically, these are missions that have a purpose, and we've been able to talk about it. And you feel that you're working with white hats. But in this incident, you feel that this was something arranged by a negative faction, black hats, to put you under some kind of mental, psychological strain.
Probably to grab information of certain missions, because even though I go through these missions, there is a mixture of white hats and black hats involved, but it's like politics, right? Democrats and Republicans. It's insane. And then there's the push of higher rank and lower enlisted and higher rank, and you have to comply. If you don't comply to these higher rank people, you're screwed. So you just have to mechanically do whatever they tell you to do.
JP explica que há experiências positivas e experiências negativas, pois suas missões são controladas pelos altos escalões dos militares, em que nem sempre a aliança tem como controlar e proteger 100% das infiltrações e das influências dos militares ou outros grupos negativos. De qualquer forma, um dos instrumentos que podemos utilizar para saber se é algo positivo ou negativo é a questão do livre-arbítrio. Seres benevolentes nunca forçam nada a ninguém, enquanto os agressivos sempre usam do poder e do medo para tentar controlar o máximo possível. Tendo explicado esse importante ponto, podemos agora analisar melhor as duas experiências anteriores que JP relatou, e que nesse último vídeo ele explicou melhor ao Dr. Salla sobre que lado sentiu ser cada entidade. Vamos ver primeiro sobre o encontro de JP com o nórdico chamado Yassif.
Okay, well, I want to ask you some questions about two of the previous missions, because there's been some controversy over whether or not the Nordics involved in those missions are positive or not. So I just wanted to go back to the mission or the experience you had with, I think it was Yassif, where you got out of a car and you went into the bush, and Yassif gave you a blue liquid. And I just wanted you to clarify whether you feel overall that was a positive experience, whether Yassif was in some way compelling you mentally. Yeah, what are your general impressions of that, what you experienced with Yassif in that earlier update you gave me?
I felt safe. I felt that he was trying to help me in a way. Yeah, I don't think I felt that negative vibe coming from Yassif. The ship, it looked familiar to me. It looked like that ship I took a picture of the porthole.
That's
so
right.
I felt peace. I was a little bit hesitant of the liquid, a little bit, but he knew I was hesitant, and he said, "No, it's safe to drink. This is to help you." So I drank the liquid. Yeah, I think I felt more peace than a negative feeling with Yassif.
Did you feel any...
Então, pelo comentário de JP, o nórdico Yassif pareceu ser uma entidade positiva, ajudando ele, inclusive provendo uma bebida medicinal para os efeitos colaterais causados em JP pelos chapéus negros. Agora, vamos à análise de JP e do Dr. Salla sobre a sexta missão dele, a Arca do Atlântico, na qual seres nórdicos declararam estar assumindo o controle das arcas.
And with the space arc, the sixth mission, where you went down there and there were a bunch of Nordics that had taken over control of the space arc. Again, there's some concern over whether these Nordics are positive or not. So, what was your feeling interacting with those Nordics down there?
Well, when I was in the ship, there was more things activated there. So I had a sense of that beautiful feeling that everything was working out. And you look at their faces and they're smiling. Other ones are really serious because they're working. But yeah, I did not feel nothing negative. But looking at the other people that went with me, they were kind of scared and surprised how fast they activated all the things on the ship. Like, how do they know this? Wow. Yeah, they're hundreds of thousands of years more advanced than us. So I'm supposed they know a lot of things, like they should know a lot more things than us.
Well, there's been some concern expressed that the Nordics needed us to gain access to the arcs, but once they gained access, they're now taking over control and they're doing this. So did they need access from humans, from the normal surface humanity, or were
they still do need access because of us? We're involved. We're part of what they're working on and what we're working on. It's an asset. We found it. It's really important to humanity, these arcs. So we still have control. It's not like we stopped having control in a way, but the Nordics, they have control of the ship itself, like as in, man, how can I put this in English? Okay, ellos tienen control sobre la situación. They have control over the situation of how the arc is going to be turned on, because they're like scared of how we're going to do it and who's going to be in charge of it. So having the Nordics in charge is going to be neutral for everybody involved. For all the other nations, that. Remember, they moved the arc more into the Atlantic for other nations can have access to these arcs, not just the United States, or not just China, or not just Russia, or not just Brazil. Everybody is going to be involved. It's the whole humanity is going to be involved with these arcs. So when they saw that one was like really in charge of everything, they were like, okay, no, this is for everybody. It's not just for one particular people, So I believe personally that the Nordics, they're just scared of how things are going to be just with us in charge with the arc. Because
you're talking about Americans, that the United States, if it's in control of the arc, the Nordics perceive that there might be some misuse or that could lead to tension with other nations that feel left out.
Well, not just Americans, because there's other people involved investigating these arcs. It's like a more world. It's like certain religions. You got the inner earth people also involved. And it's a present for us as much as it is for the Nordics. So the Nordics want to be involved as well. But because the Nordics are super more advanced than us, they have more access on the ships, on the arcs. So they're as interested as we are interested. But they just have more technology to activate more stuff on the ship. So it's like, okay, giving a cell phone, you go to the Amazon, right? And you give a cell phone to an Indian guy, right? And he doesn't know what to do with it. But you give it to somebody that is an advanced living in New York and come down to the Amazon, right? And they look at the cell phone and they know how to work with it. The Indian guy is going to look at that guy like, man, he's taking control of it, but he's showing me videos, he's showing me stuff with it. So cool, let him just keep doing it. Let him just keep using the phone, and we can just be with him while he's using the phone and learn on the way. That's a literal analogy, similar to what's happening now. Nordics are really more advanced than us, and they're involved in a lot of different projects, not this one. Outer in our solar system and also in our oceans and also around Earth. So we know that we are primitive compared to the Nordics. So we're letting them, and if the Nordics wants to eliminate us in a certain way, they could. They have the technology, but they don't. They're really, really not robotic, but really like neat in how they do things. And they're really fair in how they do things. It's not like, how can I put this? Are you understanding what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
About the cell phone analogy?
I understand. Yeah, I think the comparison is good that the Nordics have a superior understanding of the operation of the arcs and by them taking control, but they're still working with the Earth Alliance, and they're showing the Earth Alliance scientists and military personnel how to better use the arc, but doing it in a way where it's not just one country in control, but it's more of an international effort.
Yeah.
Como vimos, nesse caso, a aparente imposição de controle dos nórdicos, na verdade, se deveu às constantes infiltrações e influências negativas na Aliança da Terra, e por isso foi necessária a intervenção deles com o intuito de maior benefício a todos no planeta, com relação à ativação das arcas. Outro ponto importante que JP explica é que os nórdicos estão atuando também em arcas em outras localizações, seja nos oceanos, outros planetas ou outras localizações do Sistema Solar. Então, provavelmente temos a Federação Galáctica e a Frota dos Semeadores monitorando sua atuação na ativação das arcas. Agora, para finalizar, deixo com vocês a mais recente mensagem em português do JP.
Sounds awesome. So any final words for our Spanish and Portuguese friends?
Yeah, para todo que está no Brasil. Brasil, Brasil, Brasil. Feliz Ano Novo. Que Deus prospere todo brasileiro no Brasil. 2024 vai ser um ano de disclosure para Brasil e para o mundo inteiro.
Bom ano a todos. Que 2024 traga as revelações tão aguardadas por nós da comunidade de despertos. Saudações a todos.